Hey guys, Brendan. By the way, that audio guide, today I'm going to be talking about EQ areas to think about with bass guitar. These areas can be applied to synth bass also, but because of the varying voice factors of different synth basses, you may have to tweak a couple of different things. So starting in the low end, you've got your sub information, which I like to call between 40 Hz and 80 Hz. That's when you can kind of get your bass to sing, especially if you're doing a dance track or a big rock mix with a fat bottom end. You can kind of just push that area depending on your arrangement. The next area that I like to call the lows is 80 to about 110, 120. This is an area that, again, depending on your arrangement, you can really bring out the low end without crowding up your sub information and kind of leaving room for kick or other instruments or bass drops that come in. The area right above that at 130 Hz up to about 350, 400 Hz is kind of your muddy range. If you notice when you throw your bass into your mix and your arrangement, then all of a sudden it becomes a little bit muddy, go ahead and just carve that out. Be careful because you don't want to hollow out your song, but that's a good area to start if you're noticing that all of a sudden it gets muddy. Right above that at about 450 to 700, depending on how you played your bass, that's where you can kind of bring out that honk and let your bass tone shine. And then if you head up to about 1.5K, that's where you're going to start getting your chug, your pig scraping, your sound, and kind of make your bass cut through your mix in that aspect. And then above that at about 5K, you're going to get your pick ticks. That's your So if you want really defined hits on your bass, then you may want to boost in the 5K range so you can know, okay, that note just hit right now, because you can tell by the click that you're hearing. And then if you move up above that at about 8 and 10K, then that's where you can start bringing out the air depending on how you recorded your bass, whether that's through an amp or DI. And obviously, depending how you tracked it, that area can only go so far. So let's listen to the bass. This is the song You May by the Way May. So down here is that sub information I was talking about. Then you head up right here to the low information. Then you get up here to kind of the muddy area. If you don't watch out, then you can kind of get a little bit out of control in there. So if it does, just knock that down a little bit. And then right here is where you're going to get your honk to kind of make your bass poke out of your mix. Then if you head up here, you're going to get your little pig scraping. Then you hit here and you get your ticks. Then up here you get your air. So a little tip to help your bass cooperate with your kick, because you obviously don't want to clog all of your low end with your bass information when your kick is also trying to punch. And depending on your arrangement, EDM or a fat rock mix, you don't want your kick to sound really wimpy and have your bass sing, or vice versa. One thing I like to do is head over to my drum track, open up an EQ, and start at around 80 Hz and kind of poke around and listen for where my kick has the most impact. So it sounds like it's around 84 Hz. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to boost that about 3.5 dB, and then I'm going to head over here to my bass track and reduce that 3.5 dB. So now you get something that looks like this. So what does that do? Well, that helps the bass still sound low and the kicks still have that low punch, but it complements each other and notches out where that bass could maybe be clogging up the impact of the kick. And you still get those singing sub-lows of your bass without doing a high-pass filter. So if you're trying to find a good balance between your kick and your bass, that is somewhere that I would start. Notch out an area in your bass and boost a spot in your kick to just get that nice punch without losing your bass impact. I always recommend cutting before boosting, simply because sometimes your ear deceives you and you think, oh, well, this thing isn't bright enough, so I need to boost the highs, when in reality it could be too muddy or have too much low end. So by you boosting the high end, you're really not solving any problems, you're just kind of creating more problems. So always start with a cut. So if something sounds too muddy or not bright enough, start by cutting out your mid-lows, that muddy frequency area around 300 to 500 Hz, and see where you end up with that. So now let's listen to this thing in context. So if we wanted to poke out a little more, then we can start in that little honky area I was talking about. And maybe get that scrape to come through at 1.5. Now if you're listening at low volumes, you can kind of hear that poking through, and maybe we want to add a little bit of air. So now it pokes through a little bit more compared to this. Hopefully this gives you some starting points on your electric bass, so when you have problems in your mix or you want to accent different spots, then you can kind of know some beginning frequencies to start out with. Remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel and subscribe to my email list, where I will send you exclusive content that I only send to the people on that list, and I will see you guys soon.